Good morning, Tiesa, and thank you for taking the time today. My name is Tanner O'Brien. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Action Coach Wilco. We are a business coaching firm focused on guiding business owners to have the freedom to grow their business, spend time with loved ones, and build a solid team. My guest today is Tiesa Hollaway with Country Community Ministries. Tiesa is one of our current clients here at Action Coach Wilco. And today we're going to talk to her about her business and the impacts that coaching has had. Tiesa, thank you again for joining me today. Why don't we start with a little bit of an introduction? Please tell our viewers a little bit about you and your background, your organization, and how long you've been working with our team.
So yes, my name is Tiesa Hollaway, and I'm the Executive Director at Country Community Ministries. Country Community Ministries has been around since 1983, and I joined about 5.5 years ago. I literally was just having this conversation with somebody because somebody asked, how did you get into nonprofit? I spent 25 years in sales in corporate America. And one of the blessings that corporate America does for you is they dump and invest a lot of money into training you. And I truly believe that I've been able to take a lot of my experience with marketing and business development and presentation and bring it to this organization. 5.5 years ago, I was burned out of corporate America, to be honest. And it turned in my 2-week notice, and they said, that's not good enough. Pack your things and leave immediately. I was like, okay. I mean, I had no job yet, had no idea what I was going to do. But I knew that I just took a huge leap of faith, and I knew that somewhere down there, God was going to catch me and put me where he needed me to be. And I share that because that's a huge part, obviously, of my journey, how I ended up here. And so ironically, as I had applied for this position 4 months prior before turning in that notice, and I never had heard anything. I had no idea. I just, because I'd never worked for a nonprofit. 2 days after I was asked to leave immediately, I got a phone call, would you like to interview? And in October 2015, I started as the executive director here. And the number one reason I was hired was community outreach. I had lived in the Williamson County area for, oh my goodness, now it's been 21 years. So I'd already been in the area for 16 years. And it was my territory. Like I mentioned, I was already involved in the community, whether it was my kids are in school, I'm a Rotarian. I sat on the Leander Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. So my reach was pretty significant in Williamson County, and the organization itself had been very quiet for various reasons. I mean, our population has tripled in the last 20 years. So, it's one of those things where I was hired because we've been kind of quiet. There wasn't a whole lot of community outreach. There wasn't a lot of donors, a lot of volunteers. And people just really didn't know where to get help. And so because of what my grandpa says, I had a gift for gab. They hired me, and that was like, we just want people to know who we are and what we do and how they can get help or how they can help. And so we were just talking about the numbers. In 2015, we served a little over 4,100 families. Well, 2020, and of course we had an epic year. I mean, we had COVID, but we served over 22,000 families in 1 year. We distributed over 1 million pounds of food. I mean, our poundage of food is increased in the last 5 years, 127%. And so, it's just amazing what we've been able to do with the help of our community and those that are involved and stuff. So, yeah.
Excellent. And so tell us exactly what the mission is of Country Community Ministries.
So our mission is to be able to make sure that people, our tagline is help for people, hope for the future. When somebody has faced a crisis, because people are like, I didn't know Williamson County was so poor. Well, we're not. I mean, Central Texas in general is a very strong state. Central Texas is a very strong area. Our counties are strong, but cost of living is also pretty high. And I was sharing with somebody the other day I moved here 21 years ago. Not only has the population tripled, but our rents and cost of living has more than doubled, but yet wages have not kept up. So a lot of people come to us because, I stood up one time in a presentation. I was like, how many of you lost a job before? I remind you, I was let go immediately, right? And I said, how many of you been through a divorce or had a death in the family and you went from 2 incomes to 1 income? I moved to Texas 21 years ago because I was going through a divorce, and I was broke, bankrupt, and divorced. I mean, I had my 2 children, my 2 cats, and my dog. I packed up everything, moved to Texas, I had $500 to my name. And I tell people I'm so passionate about what we do because the places like this help me, places like this help me provide a better life for my children. And we were able to feed and I was able to clothe and just resources, and I said, so most people that come to see us are very transitional, and they just need help. We don't want people to have to stress about food. We also have a thrift store. That thrift store provides free clothing. It provides free shoes, coats, and blankets during the winter. Right now, because of COVID, we're dealing with a lot of domestic violence families that have, gone into hiding or got into new facility, new apartment or whatever, and we help them with linens and housewares and some furniture and just things that they may need to help their families. So, there's back when I started, we had what 5 programs, maybe 6 programs. Programs are like food, clothing, holiday meals, stuff like that. Well, today we have 16 programs. So these are programs and services that help people with their families, and we have the thrift store. So it's just amazing about what we do, and we just want people to know that there are resources and tools that, I don't know how many people out there, but ironically, when you're so honest about your story, and like I said, 21 years ago, I moved here bankrupt and divorced. How many other times people confide in you and say, you know what, I was in a really tough situation and I needed places like this, because it's humbling. I mean, it's really humbling to ask for help. And we don't want people to have to worry about that. We don't want people to have to worry about feeding their families. So yeah, it's pretty exciting.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. I appreciate you sharing that with us. So how long has it been now that you've been working with our team and working with Andy specifically?
So almost a year. It's crazy to think about that. I mean, COVID hit us in March of 2020, and here we are at the end of February, So Jody had sent out a note to United Way of Williamson County, invited all nonprofits to join in on nonprofit call. And I just remember listening to Andy talk just really about, okay, now we are going to be facing a time in our lives that nobody's ever faced before. And how can we reach more people? And how can we change the message? And he offered the opportunity, says, the first, whatever, 1, 2, 3 people, whatever, that respond to me quickly, I'm going to be doing a drawing for Coaching with a Cause. Because as a nonprofit, we don't allocate money for, coaching and business development as much. We do a little bit for the staff and stuff to try to encourage them to tone up on their skills and learn something new. I mean, knowledge is power. But I jumped on it. I immediately jumped on it because nobody was prepared to navigate what this was going to look like. As I mentioned, corporate America, I mean, they dumped a lot of time and invested a lot of money to do presentations, but I'm one of how many nonprofits in Central Texas? A lot. I mean, Central Texas per capita has the most nonprofits than all over the country, right? And it's amazing because everybody has such a giving heart and giving spirit. But from a nonprofit side, we're all competing for dollars, donors, and and people to volunteer. And so I took advantage of that. So yeah, it's been almost a year, and it's been fun. We were able to. I know one of the questions was, how has it changed? And and what did I learn? And it's actually kind of different phases since we've been working together. First was, the number one word I think we all heard was pivot. How do you pivot and change your message? And because everybody's going to be asking for money. I need money and I need people, right? But the cool thing is Andy and I worked through how to change the message to make it more effective and be able to really just actually not just woe is us, and we're a nonprofit, we need help. It's more, this is what we're doing with the help that you're providing. And so I did some video clips. I do some Facebook Lives and I do video clips here, but I didn't do strategic video clips of asking for money and where that money was going. And we got, and one of our churches allowed us to use their video and audio person, and we were able to just do a really cool 2-minute thing and be able to share the great things that we're doing, because we went from having everybody come into our food pantry to now having to do a drive-through mobile distribution, right? Because we don't have the parking space to do it. So we had to completely change our operations to be able to get people food. And to do that, we needed additional resources. I mean, we have truck, maintenance, gas, coolers were going down because we're using them, 3 times as much as we were using in the past. And so because of changing the message, and then of course people still wanted to help, we were able to we raised more money probably from March until June than we had raised the entire year. And that was just all about changing the message. Yeah. The second thing that he helped me with was because of the transition and because of COVID, we had a couple of people that quit. We were essential workers. There was no shutting down. And in the beginning, because nobody knew about what COVID and what it was going to do for us or to our family members, we had a couple of people that left that just, I'm not working anymore. And I said, okay, but we needed to hire people. And to be honest with you, I hate hiring people. It's my least favorite part of my job, mainly because I've been doing it for 10 years. I have a disabled sister that has lived with us for 10 years, and I have to hire caregivers and fire, and it's it can be pretty painful, for me anyway. It's not one of my favorite things. And so Andy was able to kind of help walk me and give me some tools and make it not as I'm a feel good person, if it feels good, if it feels right. And I'm the worst, as long as I was in sales, I'm the worst person to sell to because I'm like, I'll buy it because I'm just a feel good person. And so he really gave me some tools and some strategies to hire some people to kind of complete our team. And it's been pretty amazing. We have a fantastic team and a really good mix of people. And so that was pretty exciting about that. And then the third thing he is now helping us on is the growth. Our food pantry, that our food goes in and out every day, right? We're open 5 days a week. And then we also have a program called Fresh Food for All. And I forgot to mention that because that's a real important program that we have for those areas that are high need and underserved. And there's no public transportation really in Williamson County. We don't have a Cat Mass Road bus that goes all around Williamson County. And what we recognized 5 years ago was that people had a hard time getting to us. We're physically located in Leander, but we serve 10 zip codes in Central Texas. So we serve Liberty Hill, Leander, Cedar Park, Jonestown, Lago Vista, and we serve Northwest Austin. So you've got one vehicle and you've got mom or dad working, but yet you've got family at home, kids at home. How are you going to come get your groceries? And so we set up a program where we have 8 distribution sites every month that go out into the community, and it's like a farmer's market. It's all fresh produce. And we add eggs and we add breads or whatever we can to continue to provide more food. But that's a really big program that we started 4.5 years ago. And it's just been really instrumental in the growth of us distributing all the food and healthy food. That's the other aspect of it. Food pantries back in the day was, boxes and bags and, and canned goods. I mean, there was no fruits and vegetables. And so it was just, yeah, so we're super excited about that. But as we continue to going back, our food pantry is only 900 square feet. So we distributed 1 million pounds of food out of 900 square feet. And that's a lot. And so I knew from the moment I started here, we've been in a facility that's held together by duct tape and glue, just to be honest with you. I mean, I literally have duct tape on my carpet. And we've been in this facility for 30 years. And thank you, dear Lord, our pipes didn't bust. I mean, I'm shocked, to be honest, that we didn't have any busted pipes. But, I knew 5 years ago that we were going to need a new facility. And so we've just been super busy since I started. But now we have a future facility committee put together. And Andy's given me some tools and resources and really just trying to help me stay focused, because there's always so much going on, and accountability and tasks to be able to say, this is what needs to be completed. As we talk, he's asking me questions that I would have never even thought to ask. One of the things I'd love to do is, and one of our big, we have already got our, we're working on our plan, our business plan, so we can do the capital campaign and stuff. And we've got it in phases. Like phase 1, this is what we need. And just to do our own operations, this is what we need in the space, in the land and stuff. Phase 2, this is what we'd like to see. And then phase 3 being all encompassing. This is what our resource, Hill Country Community Ministries, would like to do. And one of those aspects is a kitchen. I'd love to have a commercial kitchen, and we could provide meals and have space for people to come together, and maybe open a little restaurant that people could get job skill trainings, culinary skills. There's an organization in Brenham called Faith Mission that I have visited a couple of times, and they've got a restaurant called The Cannery. Fantastic food. If you've ever in Brenham, Texas. It's got amazing food, but they open it up to the Rotary clubs, to the Lions Club, to the chambers, but they're big. It's like a big family sit down. Every table in is round. They're big tables. You don't have like table for two, so you have to really kind of sit with everybody. But they offer people that are receiving services, they employ a chef, culinary skills, restaurant skills, and stuff. And I just think that that would be amazing asset to this. So Andy asked me, well, what is it going to take to open a restaurant? I'm like, I don't know. I never opened a thrift store, but those are the questions that other people are going to ask, right? So I need to be prepared for that. So he's helping me kind of prepare for what that may look like when other people ask questions, to make sure that even though I have a big idea what we should need and what we look like, it's people like Andy and then the people on my committee that say, well, you really need to think about this, and this is what this looks like, and this is what's going to cost. So yeah, and that 1 year, that's all the things that we've been able to accomplish, and I attribute that to just being able to brainstorm and share ideas and talk about just the different things that we're working on.
Amazing. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I appreciate you sharing all of that. I typically ask, what's the biggest impact that you've gained through coaching at this point? And it sounds like there's been a lot of impact. So that is absolutely fantastic. So knowing that there's really a lot of information out there about business coaching, especially today, what has been probably the most surprising thing to you in going through our coaching process?
Well, it's interesting. I don't know that there's anything surprising for me. Because I said it earlier, knowledge is power. Like I invest in going to one class a year or one seminar a year. And I think that has to do with the fact that I had to do it for corporate America. So I still take that with my nonprofit. I can probably tie it into one of the questions that you sent me about, if I was to tell other business owners, because what I working for a growth coach and business coach and stuff. And because I think what surprises me when I tell people I'm working with a business coach, then they're always like, well, that's not going to work. That's not going to work for me. And I just have kind of just went, shrug my shoulders, and I'm like, and I just kind of get to the point where I'm like, well, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing the same thing over and over again, your business isn't growing, you're not doing, and all you're doing is complaining about this, and this. It's like, reach out, ask for help, at somebody else. That's the great thing about having a business coach, is somebody else bringing something to the table that, that you may not have ever thought of. Like I said, some of these things, and that's based off of the experience that you all have, with other, whether it's another big company, small company, or nonprofit. I mean, that's the other thing too, is a lot of, and I'll just use my husband. I mean, I love my husband, but he's in construction, and he has battled using a business coach because he doesn't think that the things that I say and do pertain to him. And he and I debate about this quite often. And I'm like, to me, because I've been in different industries. I mean, I was in sales. I worked at Gold's Gym. I mean, somebody told me a long time ago. I mean, I was in my 20s. And they said, if you can sell gym membership, you can sell anything. And I just didn't know any different, But I went from working at a Gold's Gym to working with a real estate company that sold $1 million properties. And that was in the 2000s. Now there's multiple ones in Austin, but that was kind of unheard of, to doing business development for a national title company. And now I work for a nonprofit, and across the board, it's all the same. Everything is all the same. I mean, you might deal with certain, it's just a different language. I mean, you're just talking a different language, but ultimately is you've got to have the right, staff. You got to have the right team. You have to be able to, think outside the box. And some people are afraid, I've just learned that, that a lot of people are afraid of trying something, doing something different, especially if you're investing in it. There's no doubt about it, because there are a lot of, I mean, like I said, I've gotten burned so many times spending money that just didn't work and didn't pertain or anything like that. So I get that, and I get why my husband's cautious about that, because he's done the same thing. But I also know that I have, I've also learned too to just kind of watch for different things and really see what value that we can bring each other, because I think it's just a mutual thing. But yeah, that's something I just kind of wanted to share.
Excellent. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I love that you're hitting all the points that I wanted to make sure that we address today, and that's absolutely fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like to add in terms of kind of your organization, the coaching process overall, really anything that we've gone through or discussed today? Anything else that you'd like to add?
And I think that I think I've kind of touched on all the great things that it's helped me and our organization, and really building and preparing is the biggest thing, is preparing for what the next thing is. I mean, you can't prepare for a catastrophe or anything, so then that comes where the pivot comes into play. But being able to have somebody that you can bounce ideas and ask questions, and truthfully for leaders, and I'm learning this because, again, remind you, I'd never been an executive director of a nonprofit or anything, but sometimes I'm going through stuff and I'm like wondering, is it just me? And to be able to share that with somebody that works with other leaders and business owners or CEOs and executives and say, we all deal with it. It's just like, it's kind of a sigh of relief. And then they can give you some tips and ideas of what you can do to get past that or whatever. I did write down something, when we were talking about what would I tell the business owners and stuff. And it's like, and I just did. I was like, if you've got the mindset already going in this, but I don't think it'll work for you, because if you do, it won't work for you. People have to be open to the idea that somebody else might have a better idea how to run your business. And I think that that's, for me, the great thing of, even at 5.5 years being here, I still think I'm very new. I think that and people will reach out to me and they're like, I want to do what you do. And I'm like, I don't know what you want to do, because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I am not afraid to ask for help. I'm not afraid to ask, what can I do differently? What can I do better? And I surround myself with other people that are willing to share their experience, to be able to say, and I always say, what would you do differently? Like, we could be literally building a brand new facility, a 20,000 square foot resource center, right? I've never done that before. I never even opened a thrift store. We built out a thrift store and we opened a thrift store. And guess what? When we hit the black, we are celebrating, but we never did that. But I didn't do it by myself, and I surround myself with people that have that knowledge and able to answer the questions. And if I don't know, but if you go in with that closed mindset that it's not going to work for me, then it's not going to work for you. So
Excellent. Wonderful point. I couldn't agree with you more on that. So for anyone who is who's watching this video or listening in, as we put all this out there, how can they find more information about your organization, or get in contact with you? What's the best way to reach out?
So the best way, actually, right now, because it's always the most up to date and most recent, is our Facebook page. Go to Facebook, .org/HCCM, short for Hill Country Community Ministries. We have a website at hccm.org. You can donate there. You can find out ways to volunteer. You can find out ways to do, but we are in the process of updating that and kind of working with a new website company to be able to make it more interactive and user-friendly. But it does have the general information about who we are, what we do, and just ways to be able to either donate to, food drives or clothes drives, new socks, shoes, whatever. We have a shoe program as well. And the best way is we post a lot of information. We have a community garden. We post information about our community garden. We post all the fresh food for all information. Just all of our events is all on social media. It's all on Facebook. So that's probably the best way to find us.
Perfect. Excellent. Well, Tiesa, this has been really fun. Thank you again for taking the time to chat with me this morning / now afternoon. Again, for all of you watching, I'm Tanner O'Brien with Action Coach Wilco. We guide business owners to have the freedom in growing their business every single day. If you'd like more growth in your business, we'd be happy to provide you with a complimentary session to help you remove those top constraints in your business and get your business growing now. That's all for today. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye for now.